Yes, it's about refugee visa. Asylum seekers, refugee, humanitarian visas, whichever one you want to go, this video is for you today. There have been a lot of questions about Australia, refugee, asylum seekers, humanitarian visas, a lot of questions because people don't hear anything about Australia asylum seekers. They always hear about Canada, US, UK, and people keep wondering. They ask me, Jane Kennis, does Australia give visa to asylum seekers? Does Australia have any program, asylum seeker program for refugee and so on? And sometimes when people go online and they see a lot of protection visas, refugee visas, asylum seeker, they get confused. They don't know which one is which. So I've taken the responsibility to do this video today. So in this video today, we are going to talk about different types of refugee visas, like program for asylum seekers, humanitarian visas, the requirements, the eligibilities for each one, so you know which one you're qualified. There are ones for people that's already in Australia that came in legally and seek asylum or seek protection. And there are some for people that came illegally. You need to go through a process. And there are some for people that came through the sea. However, in this video today, we'll cover all of them to know which one you will be qualified for, or if you're currently seeking one, you know if you're really qualified and how to apply for them. And the good thing is that there are helps, support from government for anyone that wants to apply for them. So there's nothing like looking for agent for that. There is help waiting for you. However, you need to qualify. And the good thing is that the visa comes out like faster. According to the government, they said 8 times faster than it used to be before. All right. So if this sounds like something you want to hear, please sit back and let's dig in. All right. Do you know that Australia has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 refugee and humanitarian visas? Yes, 7 of them. Don't worry, I will explain each of them. All right, so we'll take them one by one. The first visa we're going to talk about is Global Special Humanitarian Visa. With this visa, you can move to Australia if you face substantial discrimination or human rights abuse and have a prosper and stay in Australia permanently with your immediate family. Okay, which means you are outside of Australia and you are applying to come to be protected if you are facing discrimination, substantial discrimination. Okay, you must have a prosper, and the prosper must be an Australian citizen, an Australian permanent resident or organization in Australia. Okay, the application portal for this visa is in this visa page. Okay, you will see it once you open it. Check the link in the description section. We're moving over to the second visa, which is protection visa. Protection visa subclass 866 is for people who arrived in Australia on a valid visa and want to seek asylum. It lets you stay in Australia permanently if you engage Australia protection obligations and meet all other requirements for the grant of the visa. So it means that you have come to Australia on a valid visa, maybe student visa, visitor visa, temporary resident visa, anything that is a temporary visa, and you want to be protected in Australia to stay permanently. Okay, if you're on a permanent visa, you are not going for protection visa anyways because you're already permanent, but you're on a temporary visa that will allow you, that will mandate you for you to go home, and now you don't want to go home because you're seeking protection from Australia government. That's when you go for this visa. One point you must note is that you must have arrived in Australia with a valid visa. Okay, let's talk about temporary protection visa. The last one we talked about was permanent one. Now, let's talk about the temporary one. This visa is for people who arrive in Australia without a visa. Remember, for you to go for permanent one, you must have arrived with a valid visa. So for you to go for temporary one, which is subclass 785, is for people who arrive in Australia without a visa and want to seek asylum. It lets you stay in Australia temporarily if you engage Australia's protection obligation and meet all other requirements for the grant of the visa. So, if you come to Australia without a valid visa, this one is for you before you can go over to the permanent one. All right. The next one we're going to talk about is refugee category visa. They have subclass 200, 201, 203, 204 in this. Okay. With this visa, you can move to Australia if you are subject to persecution in your home country. This visa allow you and your family to live, work, and study definitely in Australia, which means you are outside of Australia. Okay. You are outside, you are coming. There is no cost for this visa. People facing war and so on. Then you apply for this refugee category visa and you'll be able to come in with it. So they have different subclass, which means they might be dedicated to certain people with different characteristics and so on. I'm not going to go in detail. There is a link for it, so that this video will not be too long. Okay, another visa we're going to talk about is Safe Haven Enterprise Visa, subclass 790. I love the name Safe Haven. So Australia becomes your safe haven. This visa is for people who arrive in Australia without a visa and want to seek asylum. It lets you stay in Australia temporarily if you engage Australia protection obligation and meet all other requirements for grant. You know, people that come to Australia by ship and so, this is it. Their safe haven. The cost is $45. Safe haven visa, it allows you to stay in Australia temporarily for 5 years. Probably you will transition to permanent protection visa and so on. However, there is another visa that is called resolution of status, subclass 852, for people that have safe haven enterprise visa and temporary protection visa. So they resolve it. You are staying in Australia permanently, like it's resolved. Temporary, resolved. You're now permanent. Okay. Yeah. Each of these visa application portal is open for them, and there is help. There is help if you want to apply for resolution of status. Once you click the page, you will see the link for help, like free help, okay? And every other protection visa, because they want you to do it rightly. Government provide assistance, free assistance, and I will share the link as well, okay? All right, let's talk more about who is qualified. So now we know the visa to go for if you come to Australia with visa, without visa, and if you're outside of Australia. But the question, when they say refugee, and there is something they always mention in each visa, they said you must have met Australia's protection obligations. Okay, what is Australia protection obligations that you must meet? That means that to engage Australia protection obligation, you need to either be a refugee, face a real risk of significant harm if you return to your home country, or be a member of the same family unit as a person who meets the criteria. Okay? All right, so who does Australia call a refugee? To be a refugee in Australia, an asylum seeker must be assessed as meeting certain legal criteria. The meaning of refugee in the Migration Act 1958 Act is a person in Australia who is outside their country of nationality or former habitual residents, that is their home country, and owing to a well-founded fear of persecution. There must be a well-founded fear of persecution, is unable or willing to return to their home country or seek the protection of that country. So they remain in Australia. What do they call well-founded fear of persecution? I know many people will be asking, what do you mean by well-founded fear? Okay, they explain. The act states that a person has a well-founded fear of persecution if they fear persecution for at least one of 5 reasons specified in the act. I will mention the 5 reasons. There is a real chance that if the person return to their home country, they would be persecuted for one or more of these reasons, one of the 5 reasons. The real chance of persecution related to all area of their home country. At least one of the 5 reasons is the essential and significant reason for the prosecution. The prosecution involves both serious harm to the person and the systemic and discriminatory act. Now let's talk about the 5 reasons. To have a well-founded fear of prosecution, a person must fear serious harm because of their race, religion, nationality, membership of a particular social group, political opinion. A person who leaves their home country for reason of war, famine, or because they are seeking better economic opportunity might not be a refugee according to the definition in the Act. If you want to apply for any of these visa, there is legal help, free legal help. These are the lists from each state and territory they have help. The link will be in the description section, okay? Now you know everything about Australia Asylum Seeker Program, Refugee Visa, Humanitarian Visa, Protection Visa. Now you'll be able to make informed decision and advise someone that wants to venture. All right, that brings us to the end of this video. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe to my channel, like and share. Thank you until we see again in my next video. Bye.